Good evening. This is my Module 2 discussion. So for this week's discussion, we are to find two independent sources that support or refute the specific assumption when it comes to profiling hackers. And based off of this week's reading, so Chapter 3 in Huron and Power, some of the main assumptions and stereotypes that I read up on were most hackers are young males. Research suggests that hackers have a good education level, about middle to high education level, as well as them being students or trainees with an above average income. And to also support the stereotype of most hackers being young males, 72.2% of alleged cyber criminals still lived in their parents' house when the cybercrime was committed. So my first article that I would like to reference is Activism and Male-Only Stereotypes by Transer. So there was it's a discourse analysis where the researcher is investigating how male hackers and female hackers speak about the male dominant stereotype. So it was an interview conducted on 10 hacktivists. So 7 were from the US, 2 from the UK, and 1 from Israel. And there were 4 distinct discourses found within the interview. So there was male oblivious discourse, emphasis discourse, negation discourse, and male justification discourse. So while bringing up the different discourses, the interviewer found that when male oblivious discourse was brought up to the male activists, they subconsciously suppressed their female colleagues. They were very subtle about this discourse, but prominent, if that makes sense. They were subtle, but the way that they were speaking about certain scenarios in the hacker community, they would always use words such as he or guys or men. They never really referenced she or her or any of their female colleagues. On the other hand, female activists actually acknowledged the male oblivious discourse. They paid attention. They say things like they actually pay attention to their female colleagues, unlike the male colleagues, and they acknowledged that there is a need for change around this, the male oblivious discourse and this male dominant stereotype. The second discourse was emphasis discourse, which is the struggle of females to be seen within the hacktivist community. And gender and sexism is actively brought up within this discussion or the interview. And the emphasis discourse and negation discourse kind of go hand in hand. Negation discourse originates from the struggle of female participants to be acknowledged. When this was brought up, a lot of them were just saying that females need to fight harder to be seen in the community, or some females did not want to accept this title of hacker. And then lastly, the fourth distinct discourse was male justification, which is the male counter mechanism to cope with all of the female discourses and resistance. So I do think that the stereotype of hackers being young males or just being a male dominant community was definitely refuted in this article. I think that the female hacktivists and the hackers community, they feel like the community is ran by the elites. The men are seen as the elites, and they really have to fight to be seen in this community.